what is genius and how society reacts to it? So I have been thinking about like this. What is this genius complex? You have a bunch of talented kids and individuals that will like have a burden with their way of thinking, and that burden will lead them to think that they have to use their talent to something, and that something is um, I don't know, some type of work or something that will get them recognition for it, or at least some type of merit and the likes, and so on. So we have like some, you have this like this. It's the name is gifted kids. Yeah. So like those gifted kids will like have this burden into them that they everything is easy for them, they are smart and all, but like they don't know what to do with that. So like they are smart, they have a lot of potential, but they don't really know how to go forward with this. And what happens is that this kids will like that don't know what to do will probably lead a miserable life because of lack of social skills, lack of emotional intelligence, and so on. So um, but there are some cases where it goes right, and this case is more or less also a complex in its own. So what happens is that the the person may have this like, oh, I'm a genius complex, and they have to use it again for something, but they like, because of their like natural ability, they don't really study as much. So they don't study as much, then they don't really become like the people who are on it because they studied it. And like people who study tend to study the same things, so like they aren't really part of the group where there are a bunch of people with like common interests and like common fields of stories or studies, or like a common field of authors and things like that. So what happens is that the person will have this natural ability, and of course the person can study and all, but what will happen is that the person will feel like, oh, I have to use this ability for something, and this something is not really, getting knowledge from studies and all. It can be like creativity or some idea. The word idea comes up a lot. So the person ultimately tries to have some kind of idea, something that is brought up and and complexified, and this thing being brought up is by itself going to give the person the merit and the recognition he or she wants. But you aren't on a space where you have a bunch of people who study the things you achieve for. So like you aren't like with a bunch of, I don't know, artists that they have all these references and all. No, you want to be an outsider artist, alright. But at the same time, you can't be friends with another others artists because they are on their own vibe, uh, sort of. So it's safe. Like they are on their own world and all. So they won't like really come up to you and say what you want because they themselves want a lot of things for themselves. So like it just doesn't match. It just doesn't match. Like you won't be having two artists and like they are be saying like, oh, this idea of yours is really good. Oh, your idea is also nice. Oh, your idea complements mine. Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. No, they I think that I believe that every artist don't want to interact with another artist. They just want to interact with the external world, and that's it. And that external world is like other people, like a bunch of people in general, like the masses. They don't really want to work with like other artists, but they want, and that's the thing. Like the person wants to get in touch with the masses, and they want to use their talent for that. But to use this talent, they do a bunch of work, they do research, and they're going to be like, oh, society, I have this idea for you. Oh, society, I have this work for you. Hey, society, this that I'm talking about, this is really important, and the person won't be heard ever. He can say, oh, I'm going to society, I need to deliver this to you. Oh, society, you need to pay attention to this, you need to understand this, and they won't. But at the same time, you won't be having like other, I don't know, artists or intellectuals come to you and say, "Oh, your idea is pretty good, and I think that we should have a debate and this and that," because again, they are like trapped into their own world, and besides that, it is quite rare to find someone on your level, like just out of nothing. And if you find a bunch of people that are on quotes in your level, it's just a bunch of like nerds, sort of. So way to speak. Like it's not a derogatory term. It's like literally nerds. Like it's going to be people that collect data, and will see you as a source of data, but that's it. And yeah, that's about it. So like you won't be speaking to the masses, you won't be speaking to other intellectuals, like you won't really have the chance to at least, and you won't be speaking to the nerds because the nerds just want to some data out of you. They don't really want to understand you, and in the end, all about those feelings of being understood and of being like, oh, this person truly understands my gift. This person truly understands my talent. Like this will never happen. And it is in some way a paradox because the genius is a genius because he has his own world internalized in him, and this world is very different. In fact, it's really really different. So like he's a genius because of that. So yeah, he have this world, this potential, this like ability, this gift. All right, but whatever he fully express this talent, whatever he fully goes into it, no one will be able to hear him. No one will care enough. No one, absolutely no one, unless your talent is like something very, I don't know, easy to get. Like I don't know, you're very good in chess or boxing, and even then you have to like make some adaptations so more people will understand you better. So like again, you can't really go on the way you want. For example, Bob Fischer. Bob Fischer is a great chess player, and he has this modality he created. That's the chess uh, nine. It's 90. I forgot the name of it, but like it's his own modality, and like this new way of playing was inspired by his thoughts on chess, and his thoughts on chess should be very legitimate because he's he's Bob Fischer after all. But it doesn't really matter because like if the his modality isn't really relevant to people, then people won't really care about it. Like three like fascinating people will care about it deeply, but not the masses. And like, if you're a genius and you want to express your talent fully, you will never be truly understood. You will be able to like be understood by a few people. The masses won't understand you, and people that study the field you are going to will see you as a source of something, and that's about it. Of course, that can change. You can like make something that it's incredible that everyone can see as being incredible, but that's really really rare. And now, how do I say it? Am I saying that if you are a genius you should give up, like give up being a genius? And like, it's almost this, because like again, that there's something to this. Like, for example, you can, again, I talked about making something really great. Yeah, you can actually express your genius and make something really great, but this something won't be, you won't be getting married by this lifetime, because like people in this era just probably won't get it, but people on another era will get it. So like you have this chance of being understood by someone in the future because someone adapted your work and all, so that that can happen. So yes, you can stand in for glory if you want to. But if you aren't really interested in glory, you can adapt your genius to the masses. Like, there is this guy in Brazil that he is a comedian, right? And he spoke of something that really standed out to me, and it was like he he went like I say he said that when he made videos, when he made jokes and all, he wanted to appear as being a genius, and he was upset when people couldn't understand his goals with the videos. uh, on a way or another, he was like people were laughing at him and all because he's a comedian and all. So he was getting what he wanted, but people weren't truly understanding him. It's like when you are a smart person and you go to someone, like I don't know, on a party, and you say something like, "Oh, there's this, and that, and na na na," and you go on, you go on, you go on, and you're basically saying a bunch of things, and like the person doesn't really get it, but they're like really amused to hear this word, so they're going to be like, "Oh, you're so smart." Why? I don't know. You sound smart. You're probably smart, and I like that. I like you sounding smart, but the content of what you're saying, like that's another thing. But I like the soundness of smartness, but I don't really care for what you have to say. And that's the same thing with this comedian. He he basically had a lot to say, and he was being understood on some level, but not truly. So like what he said is that he just kind of stopped thinking of himself as a genius, and then he got all the attention. And that was because he had to give up on his genius and just use it enough as to people like will understand it and be fine with it. So like he adapted his language, and now people consider him a genius in general. But the thing is, him stopping being a genius became a genius, but he is not a true genius. He's a false genius. He's not like a genius that will come up with something beyond this world. He is a genius that will come up with things that are on another plane, like another plane to this. So like he is like funnier than most people in Brazil, and that's a fact. But he can't be the funniest man ever in Brazil, because if he tries to do it, he will never be understood. So his true genius is is won't ever it won't people won't be able to understand it ever. But to appear as a genius, he will have to give up and just say, okay, I will tell you what you want to hear, and I will say what you want to hear, and that will be it. And now he's a genius. But he's not a genius anymore. And like his videos are pretty funny. I watch him and all, but when I look to it, I think how it would be if this guy just made whatever he wanted, and I thought it would probably be something great, but it wouldn't be something that people would understand, and that's truly something. That's truly something because is adapting to people the general common thing? Like we should strive for it. We should strive for like adapting people into our works, or shouldn't we? Or should we just like strive for glory and say like fuck it, I will do whatever I want and hope that someone years in the future come to me, come to my work and say, oh, that there was something going on with this, and oh, now we get it, now we are like conscious enough to get it, and that's about it. Because like being a genius is mostly about being like ahead of everyone. That's about it. It's like being ahead of everyone. So if you are too far ahead, people won't get you. But like if you are like if you get the full potential and you get too far ahead, like on purpose and just go on do whatever you want, like people, I don't know, 100 years in the future will see your work and be like, wow, how did this guy did it, how did he did it, how did he do these things, how did he predicted so many things. And again, you're going to be achieved for glory probably. And that's the genius paradox. It's about the genius own feelings and his maximum capacity of being a genius versus society expectations and adapting to society and not being a genius anymore, but a really good product. Beyond and all, beyond all, a good product. And that's about it, guys.